Okay, if everyone would please stand for the pledge and then remain standing, I'd greatly appreciate it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reason I asked for you to remain standing is because we lost another member of the community. Unfortunately, Donald Palmer passed away. So if you would please give a moment of silence and prayer for him and his family. Thank you very much. Take a seat. Anybody came in recently since I last made the announcement, anybody coming in, please sign the attendance sheet back there. Don't sign it. Print your name, please, so it's clearly and legible, us to read. Any and all other information, please. Agenda's right next to that. Okay, has everybody had a chance to check the bills over? Just the site, just the spinning sheet when they're done.
Open agency policy change.
Oh, the new truck.
Okay. ID booth, that's the water meters, right? Yeah.
No, ID booth, no, not water meters. But what are you asking? What, is there any particular invoice?
ID booth, it was one, I thought it was a meter. Like,
That's usually electrical or plumbing stuff. Say where it went.
ID booth.
It's at it says metering lab faucet. Maybe the
Yeah, I guess it,
ID booth mowing the
The
faucet.
metering process.
Oh, yeah, that's
Mowing faucet.
the women's bathroom faucet. They call that a metering faucet because it only stays on for like 20 seconds.
oh, it's on
Yeah,
Really?
yes.
there.
All right.
You don't use the bathroom? Yes, you're right. I did it today. All fixed.
Village of Holly, the herbicide, 250 gallons.
That's spraying park fences, fire hydrants, for weeds and grass and so on.
Get it cheaper through them.
Oh,
Perfect.
a lot.
And I thought Amherst Alarm we were all set on.
Amherst Alarm, anytime we call them out for a repair or check on the equipment, we end up having to pay them. We are having an issue with the heat sensing unit in the trailer out there where Dale keeps all the water equipment. And I was constantly getting phone calls on it. Dale and Gary went out. They tried doing a little repair on it earlier this year and it seemed to have fixed it. And that was with Amherst Alarm's guidance.
But then it just started going off again. So I requested, rather than us trying to get it fixed and jury rigging anything, that's why I called for a technician to come on out, and they took care of it.
I just had I emailed out about the EFPR, our bookkeeping accounting company, and I understand that they're switching names or splitting their business, so now it's going to be called Local Government Support Services, and they've also changed their timing of billing. So
Yep.
next month we won't be receiving a bill.
We-
It'll be on the December.
LGS will be sending us a bill the first of every month. Right, like right now, because EFPR is phased out as of the end of September, and LGSS starts as of October 1st, which is right now. That's why we got a double bill. EFPR charged us for that month. If it's the end of September, they charged us for the month of September. So they charged for the month previous to the billing.
So we
LGSS bills us at the beginning of the month for the month coming.
okay. So
It
so when we started, we got a month of service, and then we paid the first bill
with EFPR.
with EFPR. Now we're paying off that last bill, and now we're going to start. So it's pay first and then get the
Yes.
services.
So from here on, the bill will be from LGSS, and they bill us the first of the month, which we'll see in our bills at the board meeting from the first of the month.
Okay. And it doesn't change our contract or anything like
Nothing
that.
changes, same people, same everything, the whole crew. The only thing that's changed is the name of the company, their phone numbers, their email addresses. That's it, but it's the same people. We still have
Can you
Shelby.
can you send us those updated contact information?
Sure can.
Thank you.
Keep involved.
Okay. Great.
L&M Fabrication, what motor needed repair?
Hydraulic runs with saltage. Not cheap, are
No.
they?
No.
And they're hard to get.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion then?
I move we pay the bills.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Those opposed? Carried. We have a chance to look the minutes over.
My only question on the minutes is, we don't need to state why we went into executive session. Sorry. We don't need to state why we went into executive session on the minutes. Okay. That was it. I move to accept the minutes as written.
Second?
Aye.
Margaret? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay. Mr. Foot. You're next. Next. You have to talk right into the mic, sir. If you want to be like one of those, just don't drop the mic, but you can handle it. Watch out, he's got wild elbows.
That meant that, okay. All right, so, good evening, everyone. Just, I guess, a quick update on the park. I would say all in all, it was a slow year, only because we really just, it was used for practice for baseball, no games, just because of filing, so, which we knew, it was just gonna be a slow season. I am lining up, I know a few years back, there was those Darien Lake tournaments. So we are looking at next year hosting some of those for the girls to start. So trying to get those back. Don't know a whole lot of details, but I think it's sometime in June. But again, trying to, there would be some benefits for the town. So, and then what I handed out to each of you was just kind of a concept plan and, kind of the next steps for the park and, kind of where do we see this park going over the next several years? And, I think first and foremost, I think there's some immediate things we need to complete that we have started. And that's, my priority, really 1 and 2 was, finishing stuff that we have, kind of already in the works. The first is installing the playground that was purchased by the Betterment group. So it's a Ninja Warrior type structure. So we have identified on the map an area, again, trying to keep it in proximity to the existing pavilion, just to the west of that. And, there's some work that's required to install that. I think there would be some discussion with the board here on who's doing that and how that's going to occur. But the one thing, there would be some materials that would be required, concrete for some posts, and then importantly, the wood chips afterwards for the safety. So there would be some expense for that. And then just kind of going down the priority list again, big picture would just be finishing the electric for the park that started. And I think, that was everybody's intention all along and national grid delays and transformer delays. And again, let's finish that first. That, and then I get down into the what's next. And I put together, try to do something that's reasonable, try to put something together that, amenities that people are going to use. I thought, a pickleball court, basketball court, tennis court type of multi-use court would be useful. I don't know of any in Albion in the area. I know it's very popular. Again, putting that on the list. I know there was also talk of doing the pavilion / restrooms. Currently, there are no bathrooms there, with porta potties. So again, long term, I think that's a high priority is doing some sort of a restroom for the facility. Along with the restroom, we need to do some sort of sanitary disposal system. And I know I've talked to the supervisor, that those soils are not going to perk. You're probably looking at a raised bed system and pretty expensive system with dosing pumps and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that's something that would be needed again. And then beyond that, it's really just, again, trying to cater towards family orientated amenities. Again, cornhole boards, walking trails, fitness kiosks, do some disc golf, that sort of thing. Kind of just really focus on putting that stuff up front in the, in the park and really, enhancing that piece of the park. Again, this concept is really just the first version. Again, nothing set in stone. We can move stuff around, but again, it just would give you just a general idea. Maybe, I would like to think a realistic goal, something that we should be shooting for, and at least gives us something to work with, which we can add to. But again, it's, I know there was talk in the past about expanding fields and doing all that in the back. I get that, you know, that's more maintenance for the town, you know, for fields that aren't being used. And again, I'm trying to cater, you know, let's work with families here and get more people using this park. So so this is what we came up with the first round, and so any questions, I would be happy to answer them, but looking forward to a busier season next year, I think.
Jason, do you foresee at any point, like, I know we've talked about tournaments and stuff. I know that the park right now, it's, you know, free for residents to use. And then if somebody outside wants to rent the pavilion, there is a nominal fee for that. Do you foresee it becoming something where it can cover its own costs?
I think the one I would say to that would be just put in there, the higher your rates.
Right.
So to break even, honestly, I don't think there's a park that breaks even. It's,
Right.
I mean, in my opinion, you're providing service for your residents that they could enjoy. Again, and to me, obviously having 2 baseball fields that most people can't enjoy, I understand that. But again, that's why I think the focus should be family pavilions that people could rent out, the bathrooms, you know, just, you want to be used by more folks. And again, that's kind of the thought, but I think to try to bring in enough revenue from tournaments,
It's a
that
big
would be
ask.
a big ask, and it would
And it
be-
also adds more costs as far as insurance or other.
it would be that, it would be maintenance, it would
Right.
be, you to get these. Anyway, so I want to start out small. I know in years past they had the tournaments. You know, they've left for whatever reason, but I'm trying to get that Darien Lake tournament, at least for the girls, back. But again, there's certain, I mean, you want the fields
Really well
Right.
maintained and
and which takes time
Right.
and effort. So, you know, you
I-
gotta be realistic, I think.
right.
But again, I want to just start out a little slow, get a couple under our belt. Again, there's, you know, maybe we can host festival. Maybe we can, you know, now that if you get bathrooms and restrooms, maybe we can for flea markets and things of that sort where you're getting more use out of it downstairs.
Right. I guess I did talk to the director of the Sweden Parks area just to see kind of where they started and how and grants and stuff, and she shared that if you start going down that path, it gets very expensive very quickly, and the, you know, those types of maintenance and things, and it's a different type of maintenance than highway maintenance, and there's a lot that goes into it.
And my goal is to keep it managed. And we are who we are. We shouldn't be. It would be nice to have a town of Sweden Park, but we don't have the people to
Right.
support it. And again, this is the balance. Trying to make it, you know, at least.
One thing that we had started with some fill up was we were talking about, when we laid it out for a multi-purpose field, being on the little league field out there. And what's, because I don't see that here
Yeah, and again, I
over
mean,
the next 5 years, because we're talking the little guys with football, soccer, as well as lacrosse. And lacrosse is getting more and more popular.
you know, so what I'll say to the football is, now that the schools put the turf field in, are they gonna come out here, or are they gonna go to the next turf field?
I'm talking about the little peewee guys.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. The little guys. I mean, so right now they use Bullard Park. Bullard Park's set up for it. They got the scoreboard, everything's there. I know there was some talk before the village put in some information, maybe, you know, they would look elsewhere. It's tough because obviously less kids are in sports. And you know, to put in more fields that are not gonna be used, I don't wanna, I just don't think that's the right direction. Again, I'm a sports guy, but you know, putting in a multi-use field that can be used for lacrosse. Only plays lacrosse, you know, unfortunately, it's like, and I think even, you know, using the big diamond and making that multi-purpose, so at least, it's even the 90-foot base, the hardball. There's not teams that are using it. And it sits idle, and again, 20 years ago when it was built, 15 years ago, kids were playing it, and you know, the viewers were, you know, put money into it and built dugouts and all, and it was great, but there's not even, there's not even 18 in Elgin, they play in out of the league. So it's just a numbers thing. I would like eventually maybe we look at doing a like baseball field where we got maybe portable mounds and things of that sort, so it can be used for girls and boys, you know, or something like that. Because the girls softball game, but you know, the intention is keep it flexible, but not. Yeah, if we can have a tournament on 2 fields that are the right size for the Yep. You could, we've had soccer there in the past, the little kid soccer, but again, there was a year, whoever was running it lived in Carlton, they moved to Carlton and it's never since. It's not to say that we can't get it back, but you know, the little soccer player, but I think having the flexibility, we can use the baseball field, seasons don't really conflict. I just from a management and a maintenance standpoint, just maybe just pump the brakes on the stuff out back and not go gangbusters. More things that are gonna be.
We've got 60 acres. And we're looking at 15.
But we don't
So
have,
No, we
I-
don't have, to, but you know, what I'm thinking of is like a hiking trail, going back into the woods and
Ye-
back out. I see what you have right here,
And part of it is,
and there's all ADA compliant.
start small and then, you know,
Yeah.
if we wanna expand the trail, if it's getting used. Just trying to really just focus on enhancing.
You have existing playground labeled here on the diagram. And then you got the Ninja Warrior. Are you talking 2 separate playgrounds?
Well, the existing is what we have. In for at least the immediate future, maybe you just keep that up. So you start releasing stuff, like maybe, I know there's talk of just moving it, but at least for now, leave it in place. Build a Ninja Warrior, get that going. Again, maybe there's another playground that ends up build, being added to the front. Eventually just fades out. And then I know we had talked about the driveway, so that's why I didn't really want to put anything. No, if we were gonna put a driveway to the back, we were gonna go through the playground, and so we kind of left that kind of as is. Just pick it up.
The Ninja Warrior playground. These playgrounds are based on different age levels. Do you have any idea what the age level is for this?
I do.
so
I'm a
I'm,
48-year-old guy.
I'm gonna kind of just, step back a little bit and express some concern and, I don't know how else to explain it. When we went through, my understanding, when we agreed to tile that, the field and try and work towards a multi-purpose field, I was very hesitant about doing that because I felt like we were putting the cart in front of the horse. I mentioned that we didn't have a plan of what we wanted to do for the future and how this would all play together. I genuinely like this plan. I think that this to me seems a lot more manageable and reasonable and kind of heading in the direction that I personally, not that my mind can't be swayed, but I'm really concerned in the way that the information has been shared or distributed, and not having, we have the town board, we have the Berry Betterment Committee, we have the Parks Committee, and it really seems like there has not been any continuity of those 3 groups to be able to have some true full group discussions and projections of what we're looking for in the future, what we're looking for in 5 years, what we're looking for in 20 years. From talking to residents, I've heard a lot of residents say, why are we investing so much into our park when we have Bullard Park. We have other parks that people are going into town to pick their kids up from school or to go do things in town anyways. They're stopping at that park. Is this the wisest use of tax funds? And I guess that I was under the impression when I voted for the tiling and for the installment of the multi-purpose field was that was the direction that the Parks Committee wanted us to go. And now, Jason, you're sitting here and you're saying, I don't think that was the wisest, like we should hold off. And I guess that I'm just feeling like we're not getting information isn't being shared accurately. And this is what I've been asking for. Like, I really like this, but I still feel like
Well,
we're
part of filing the existing statutes, that's what we need.
right.
So in the process of doing that, people back. Again, I think it's part of that is planning for the future, but you provide a solution to your immediate need of island that feels that you're using currently.
And
I mean, to tile the front ones and then not do the back, that's probably impossible since it's all drained. right?
Okay.
So, that's not to say, again, I'm pretty sure they're gonna plan to paint. So, again, my focus was the family stuff. This is what we immediately talked about. Again, I think maybe that's not to say that we don't ever develop the backfield. There's a need for it. Again, I'm just trying to be sensible on where, the money that is spent for the tiling is done. But if we're gonna improve the park, I think, again, focus was in the front. In the back, that's not to say that we don't turn and if something comes up and there's a need for it for additional fields, we don't change gears, but again, I think the football, they have a place to play, the soccer has places to play. So, trying not to compete with something that's
We already
starts to
specialize,
add,
right.
it's, that's what I don't wanna do. And I mean, I will say that the two fields we have are very nice fields. And so I think I've said it before, like less is more. Let's take care of the two fields that we have and make the best two fields in the county.
right,
And so people want to come here. Having 4 or 5
less
average
than
field,
par.
I don't want that. So, and again, we're not going to put a spray park here, right? We're
Right,
not going to do that.
right.
And so we don't want to compete with. We're not going to put a skate park here again. And trying not to compete because just we don't have the people to support it. But what is the need? What is again, pickleball, the big thing, tennis. At least that's a multi-use, surface that can be used. And again, the restrooms, I mean, that really handcuffs the town on what the park can be used for. And, kind of like I said, to have it generate enough revenue to be self-sufficient. I mean, all respect, I don't think you would ever get there
Right.
anywhere. I mean, no matter what size park it is, it's just, I mean, even an elbow park. I mean, I can't see that they ever. How you
I guess that, and like I'm, looking at these numbers, looking at the costs and kind of what we're trying to do. And I guess that like hearing Dad talk about how the park got started and how, his involvement in the beginning of the park in our community and what kind of the intention behind that was. The concern is as we I guess that I won't just want to make sure that we're walking that line of, and I guess too, the comprehensive plan will hopefully give us some light if this is something that the rest of the community wants. If this is something, having some ideas and kind of some things that can be shared so that when the surveys go out, we can see, is this something that the residents feel like we would like in the town of Barry, that we would like to use taxpayer money on, or if this is something that, our wonderful Barry Betterment Committee wants to say, hey, we're going to raise funds and see if we can get grants and businesses to support these efforts and to move forward with these ideas. But I still feel like there's a lot of communication and collaboration that kind of needs to take place to make sure we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, it was always said, you know, we need it on paper. We need a plan. And again, this is a start. I'm not saying that this is the final version. Again, I, really haven't reviewed this with the committee at all. Again, it's my first take at it, again, based on feedback that I've received. So, again, I think it's a work in progress. And subject to change. I mean, I think again, I understand what you're saying, and I don't want to put something in that's not going to get used.
Right.
Especially spend a lot of taxpayer money to build something that's not going to get used. It's foolish. So, certainly understand that. I'm trying to be sensible and really phase it. So we're just biting off small chunks, manageable.
Mhm.
Really that next big step is, if you didn't do the pickleball courts and said, well, bathrooms and the restrooms would be really nice and handy. I mean,
Right.
and it's a big step, but it's just trying to make you guys aware of like, that would open things up a little bit, but it's a big investment. And again, we don't need to do it next year or the year after. It's maybe we plan it, look for grant money, let's be creative in that way. And maybe it can get done at a reasonable cost with kind of shared services or in-kind service. So again, it's just, we got to have a plan, and at least this is the start on that. So, but I agree. Those three parties need to talk.
I know down your list here, one of the highest costs is the bathroom, which naturally would be the highest cost. And I know a lot of people who will bypass parks and certain events in that lesser bathrooms. And I'm not just talking women, a lot of guys and families, we're not going. And if you're trying to draw a larger crowd, that's really going to be pretty important. I mean, definitely you'd want to make sure it's going to be used to that extent to be able to afford what it would cost. Personally, I know people that have gone past events because there's only 4.
How do you establish your cost?
So we do a fair amount of parks and recreation work at work. So it's that and just the previous job. So a lot of those are square foot prices or each prices. I mean, a park bench is not $50; it's $2,000. And it's it's different. I mean, because it's something more. And everything's
Discussed it 2 or 3 meetings ago. I made the comment that bathrooms would be nice to get started on, but I guess I was building style team. I didn't have those kinds of things.
I mean, and if you're building a bathroom, I mean, you're gonna want a block building,
Yeah.
right? Concrete, something a robust roof, right? You want a metal roof, something that's you're not gonna be putting shingles on it, So you start doing that, it costs more. I mean, you're not going to Home Depot and buying toilets, you're buying something that's so.
And the leach field.
And the septic disposal system and all that stuff's gonna add on. So again, if you did just the bathrooms and you weren't doing the pavilion on top of it, maybe these costs are a little different. And again, it's not a $20,000 bill. That I can tell you, but it's maybe these are a little conservative. But again, I just want you guys to prepare that that'll be a big one. So again, we got to design. I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to use round numbers. That is good. Give you order of magnitude.
Question I have, both Dale and you, Jason. In that area on the south side of the park, where the Ninja Warrior is and hole number 3 and 4 for the disc golf course, that's a very wet area, is it not? Isn't that where we had that spring?
That tiling work.
Been back in there, it's tile, right?
We ran tiling back up the other side of the
Oh,
parking
yeah.
lot?
Yeah.
Okay,
The tiling, we practiced there this year for Little League. Absolutely 100% work.
and, okay,
I mean,
that's great.
we wouldn't have got out there until July.
Beautiful.
So again, it's a start, not the finished product, but again, I, just continue to build on it.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your work on this and for,
Excellent.
Share it with the,
When's your next meeting?
yep.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Okay. Old business, Hemlock Ridge Solar. We're nowhere with that at this time. Nothing's changed. Baird Solar, we have a hold on that right now. Because of the change. I haven't gotten the whole story, but one person said it's supposed to go to back to the planning board, but. Beautiful.
Change. The Bears project, we're eliminating question. So the SWIP is going back to DEC for approval. And that's a plan that is approved, DEC. Something the plans were considered as part of their review, but it was not the condition. So, went back and forth, on this with board because the change is minor change and it is being reviewed by DEC. The change is not relevant to any conditions that were put on the special use permit. It does not. It's been back. So as soon as they have the all clear from DEC, they can.
Excellent. It seems like I saw they've got all the shrubbery put in and so on down there. They got more stone back in there.
Yeah, they just, so right now.
Okay.
Get it.
Okay.
Not from special use.
Good. Thank you.
Anytime. Glad I could actually answer the question.
Heritage Wind.
I believe since the last meeting, there was, the attorney for Heritage Wind submitted a letter to ORES just stating that, they are revising the plan and that they plan to, remove the parts that which they had already shared with us, that would go against our local ordinance. And that they planned on submitting that soon, but we haven't, has not been a submission at this time.
So I did reach out to Heritage just to see if they're still planning. Because it was a potential to interfere with the signal from the RTO. So they're making sure that they're not going to interrupt a service. So that's what.
Okay.
But not.
Okay. RTO ambient. I met with a couple of gentlemen last week that are directly the project supervisors for ambient for Orleans County. The holdup right now with it, all the equipment's up. They have to align the dishes from Hemlock Ridge to the water tower into Clarendon. But what's holding them up on that is they're waiting for Spectrum. Spectrum has to come and hook up a fiber optic connection to the Hemlock Ridge tower so that they can start getting them to talk to each other. Once they have that connection, then Clarendon and Barry will be all online and be able to offer the high-speed internet being offered by Ambient. Okay,
How did we do on the option?
It's on now.
new business. First thing has to do with, we need to make an extension once again on the water agreement between ourselves and the town of Albion. You want to go back to Water District 10? That would have been old business. Yeah. Okay, we'll back up then.
So last meeting, we talked about how Water District 10 and moving forward with it. With the plan that if we didn't have the majority votes, that we would rescind. I was a little bit disappointed in that I thought we were gonna get on it. And then after the meeting, Dr. Bouchon said, text everybody and get together at a meeting and move forward and contacting the people. And that didn't happen. I reached out to you a couple times. Didn't happen.
Partly because I was out with COVID
Right,
for a
for a
week
week,
and a half.
Yeah. So, one thing that I did wanna, I requested the units, which one were half units. So that if we need to get started on that.
And you received that. I sent that to you.
No. you
Yes,
Said that it was.
yes, it was. I found it, I looked it up.
I told you to take a look at the engineering report.
So you found it. And you sent me the units, the names of what the units were. So after we did that.
If you take a look in the engineering report, George,
Okay,
I spelled it right out to you, and it's listed as Appendix E. And if you take a look at Appendix E, right here, unit 0101, and you go down and you also have 0.5. All the units are right there, right opposite the tax map number and the person's name and their address. Everything was right
so
there.
let me get this right. You have it right there.
I gave it to you.
I requested it 3 weeks ago. And instead of you giving it to me, you wrote me an email stating find it yourself and here's where to find it.
I didn't quite say that.
Yes,
I
you
said,
did.
I sent you, I forwarded the whole engineering report, the most up-to-date one we had. And I pointed out to you to take a look at Appendix E as in Edward. And it was all outlined right there. When I saw your email, when I came back to work, that's what I sent. I told you to check it out.
Okay, I'll tell you one more time. I get 1,000 emails. When I request something, text me or call. Not email. Text me or call me and let me know. We'll do that before. Hopefully it'll stick this time. Anyways, so that would be good to have those units.
You have.
What I need to know is, it would have been this. If we don't have the majority, what are we gonna tell these people? What is our reason?
Last week, I was coming back from Clarendon, drove down Brown Schoolhouse Road to Transit there. And I drove down Transit and I stopped at each of those homes. And everybody on Transit, now I did not do McNamara, I did not do Angevine, but everybody on Transit all agreed they wanted water. They did not like the cost portion of it. And we had the one gentleman and his son in here that were saying, you know, it's something that they might not be able to afford. But they all said they wanted water. Now that, like I said, that was just Transit Road.
They want it at this price.
That was the price that I said we had, and that's like I said, like the gentleman that was in here, they want the water, they just don't think they can afford it because of the debt service.
Right, so do they want it at this price? Yes or no? Because I went through that same area and covered it all, and I had 2 yeses in it.
Interesting.
Yes,
I got yeses from everyone insofar as they wanted the water, but
so,
that gentleman there owns 2 residences on Transit. He didn't feel, and I spoke to his son who lived in the other house,
yes,
and they said that they just didn't feel they could afford it.
and they were adamant, no.
He was not, well,
So,
he wasn't adamant. No.
I didn't. So, that's, in saying that, we don't know. I mean, if they're switching back and forth, I feel we need to get something in right. I feel that that's what we were gonna do last month. After the meeting, was get together and send out notices and have them get back to us on yes or no in writing. But in saying that, if this isn't a majority, because we don't have a majority yet, what is your reasoning for moving forward? What do you tell these people when they don't have a majority?
What I would tell them is that it's either we put it in at this time at this expense, unfortunately, or we don't put water in at all.
I don't know.
Because I read a report this morning that said that when it comes to costs, construction costs, Jason, you might be able to verify this, I don't know. But when it comes to construction costs, and I'm not talking about labor, I'm talking about materials, that they have plateaued out at this time. They are not going to become less. So, back and engineer. Gonna have to go through the fees to get the off the council. We're gonna have to have a public hearing, we've got to publicize everything, and then costs will increase. So that's gonna cost more. So it's not like we can find a magic line and come up with $1 million to help cut the cost.
So how many engineering firms did we reach out to? We reached out to 5 engineers.
5 that responded. It went out to a lot more than that, because they put it out in the publications. For the bid. Oh, for bid? Yeah. Is it put out in a publication?
George is asking a different question.
Yeah,
I'm
you're,
asking how many engineering firms did we reach out to assess what it was going to cost and then
But we reached out to more than 5 that responded.
that you're talking about
Talking
contractors rather than
George is talking
engineers.
Engineering.
How many engineers? We only had the one that has been. Well, but yeah, I keep the fact because we utilize them in other ways. But yes, they could do this. Yeah. And then we also have firm that Jason works for, that we could also contact as well. MRB originally has been the town contract since they first built the water tower. And they always have it. I never recognized them since I came in office because I just assumed double check with others. The thing was that MRB had started. What's his name? Paul Chatfield. Paul Chatfield, before he sold out to MRB, was the town contractor. And he basically put all the different water districts in or designed them. His work. So they had started up all of that with Water District 10. So because they did the initial work and the town had already paid them, that's why we continued. But since then, I been talking to other engineers. Because I don't feel they're very good. And it's the price that they came up with through COLA. That as a board, the previous board said it was too much and they tabled it. Roll off on it. It had been approved, previous board had approved it, we were getting ready to pull it out and bid it. COVID hit and that shut everything down. And so when that's bad, no, it had doubled. After post-COVID. Okay, so at post-COVID, we didn't go out and get another survey, see how the people want it. We just assumed and we had to bid this. I took it upon myself to go out and talk to the people with double the numbers that they were gonna be facing. Again, my question comes back, if we don't have a majority, which we don't, if we don't have a majority, how can you justify the people that we're putting this in? How do you say we don't have a majority? Last I heard when you came back, you said you were disappointed because more people wanted it than didn't want it. That's what I had heard.
That's not accurate.
I was
I'm sorry, you're not accurate. This is my.
did they have the numbers before the meeting?
No.
So. This is. Yeah, that's the out of.
No, this is good.
Kind of doing this steps here.
Yes, perfect.
Public information, we just, other people, sit here and.
So on the referendum plan, the only one voting would be the ones that are affected by the water district. Or they don't? Okay.
Right.
We have,
You have to verify, you have that list as far as.
we have 30 homes, 30 houses, and then we have half units. Do the half units get votes too?
Yes.
And there's people, some of the half units don't live in the area. So if you have a proxy that they can send in. Yeah, so I agree with you, and that's what, I would like to see, because it would take it off of me. To go out and with these people and tell them what's going on and try to, as far as I will set the record straight, I want to see this water district go through. I was happy when I went out and I was getting letters and I thought I will hit 20 in no time, and then I didn't. And so I just need to do what is right. Make it terrain, what is right. So I bring the question back. We talked about this last time. We talked 20 was. There's 2 more houses now that, probably 21 would be what we need to do. I did find one house that wasn't on there, and I also found I included the house that they built. There wasn't that they built. As far as what do we do if we don't have the 21? Well, what do we tell them if we go forward?
We had a simple vote, it was the same number to number. We had it and it was here before. And it's not enough.
So, and that's,
And
the fact that we got this right now, that, Sean's saying stop and talk to them about yesterday, and I stopped before and got adamant no it was coming. That's a
Well, one thing, again, and Britta, you can step in on it, because you're the expert on this. But if we had a simple vote, it would at least, and it would be up to them to show up. If it's that important to you, you would show up. If it isn't that important,
if they
you don't.
get the information.
Yeah.
You make sure they get the information.
And
Sure
Sean,
that
you were saying that you didn't thought that the engineer was not really high in that. Because you've always used them in that. is there a possibility of getting, I mean, I don't know what it would cost to have a couple other engineer reports done? Jason, you work for an engineer or no?
Very hard.
It's because we put the cart for the horse and didn't get the people know where we were going.
But
So if you want to get back and you want to do things in order.
So-
One of the things that, it's.
Can I
Go
hop
ahead.
in here? I guess I kind of want to just take a step back and make some clarifications so that we're all kind of on the same page with this. So, the Water District 10 area is an area that is known that they don't have good water quality and that they don't have, they have wells that run dry and there are problems with their established wells. So that is something that we know. When this started, we had to have an engineering map laid out first in order to see what the cost would be and to kind of move forward. So that was done first. Then we went out and we did the petition, which I think we had to do 3 times because it was not done correctly 2 of the times, to have those signatures saying that this is something that a majority of the residents in Water District 10 wanted. That being said, when the price doubled, we did not go out into the community at that time and see when it went from $500 and some odd dollars to now $1,080, which is actually more than a lot of their actual town taxes. So we as a town board would be looking to add $1,080 to all of these residences for the next 38 years. And that this is something that when we had the public hearing, prior to the public hearing, we as a town board said, we're not required to do this, but we would like to send out letters to all of the residents saying that we're going to be having a public hearing and providing them with the numbers of what is the reality of what this change would be. Unfortunately, that initial letter went out without those numbers. So we had a few residents who came to the public hearing, but it was at the public hearing that the rest of the town board saw the letter that went out, and we said, hold up. If we're going based on just this letter, there's not enough information for the residents to make an educated decision as to whether this is something they would like or not. So then we said, we passed a resolution that we send out a revised letter that had all of the numbers so that people could actually see what was going on. And we talked about it at the next town board meeting where there was a mix. There were people saying, we can't afford this. And there were people saying that we need this. And at that point, I think that most of us sitting here are thinking, this is not going to be an easy decision. We don't want to inflict financial hardship on our residents for something that they are feeling at this point they can't handle, but we also don't want to not provide water to our residents. So at that point, or prior to that, Dad said, I'm not comfortable making this decision without actually hearing, because we were getting not consistent information as far as whether people like it or don't like it. And that's where at the last town board meeting, he said, can we please have a special meeting so that we can go through and get these numbers, either discuss having a resolution, having letters sent out where then we can get with stamped addresses, coming back, where we could brainstorm. This is not something that is required by the state legally. It's not something that we're required to do. But as elected officials, I think it's something that we want to do to make sure that we are serving the residents of our community. And my concern is, and I know, Bridget, you're like, we're pretty far into this process, and I understand that, but I am not comfortable with voting on something that we don't have a clear majority on that could potentially kick people out of their homes. that would provide a significant financial hardship to the residents of our community for the next 38 years who are on fixed incomes. And so even if we like, and one of the things, and Sean, I guess that I'm confused as to why you're not saying, yeah, let's have this meeting. Let's talk about alternatives. Let's look at, are there ways that we can reduce costs? Are there ways that we can help these residents to make it affordable? What are alternatives? I don't think anyone up here doesn't want this water district to have water, but we want to do it in a wise way.
So I can't. If this is if it goes through and we don't have the majority, what are you going to tell the people?
I've got a good idea of how they. So these wind turbines go up, a portion of that. Yes. Well, that's not,
There's no guarantee the wind turbine is going to go up. So
I'm saying if they want up, if you got a solar project over here, we can utilize those funds, couldn't we? Couldn't we, George?
how is that
How are
going to
we
be?
gonna get
How
those
is
funds?
how is that? How is that going to be fair for the water district and then other people in the water districts just done? Each water district is standing on its own.
So
Okay.
let's give a percentage each one. I'm just throwing ideas out, George.
Great. Then those are the ideas we should have had the meeting on when I requested it last time we were gonna have it. There's other things that, you can look at the more grant. We can look at saying, nope, we're gonna hold off, we'll come back with another thing. Whether I reached out to some engineering firms too, and they said, a lot of times municipalities will say, no, go back to the drawing board, that's too high, we can't afford it. That's an option we can do. If you wanna know what the numbers are that I got, and we can go through this, I went and I reached out to people. I have 15 no's, 15 yeses. Of the half units that I did contact, they were no's. So if you wanna know where we are, we're in the no. I don't like to say that, I'd like to rather have it in writing, a petition. Now, in that, I'll also add that, some of the people that said yes, also said, we don't mind you going back to the drawing board and getting this price down. That would be great. I also read, I went through, there was 3 yeses that aren't planning on hooking up. But if it would help their neighbors, they were in agreement with it and said yes. Well, if the no's are outnumbering the yeses, I didn't go back to those people, but I think they'd probably be a no, because they'd go along with their neighbors on what people want. I think we need to have a vote before moving forward with this.
To answer your question, George, I think if it was a true vote, and these are the numbers. There's not enough. It's a no.
The no.
And if there is, then I'm sorry, people that can't afford it or don't think they can afford it, but how many of them don't have electricity? Everybody has electricity. You do what you gotta do. I mean, and if the majority is a yes, no matter what, the 5 of us are either good or bad people, something. There's gonna be no in between us. So,
Right. And
if it's a true majority, it goes through. We vote on it. I mean, everybody has their opinion, but you vote on it, and I would vote yes. If there's for sure more no's, I'm the first one to say. And you're going to have the older people who might be on a fixed income who can't. We also heard of these young families there, like, we've never had good water, and I want to start a family.
Yes.
And they're going to go somewhere else where they have water.
I agree, but I got more no's. And did you read the letter? I mean, that was a no-brainer to me, and I told her that. But she was adamant that this project was costing more money than what they can put a well in. And
But you still got to have. You still got to have.
I told them that.
There's still a lot of graders.
And I told them that. I told them. But that's one of the no's I counted, and I assumed that was going to be yes.
We need water sampling and testing. Put the test samples out of our water treatment out there. And out of the 8 or 10 wells that I took samples up there,
3/4 of them fail. Because of organisms, don't taste them, don't smell them. Most of the water out the smells itself anyways. But it's the organism in there that then cause health problems. In fact, two of the residents, I had to back the letters from the health department, and they had to treat their bones. And then I had to run the sample again and put it back up there, that's it. They treated it.
So why haven't we reached out to our congressmen, senators, and tell them what our situation is here with this low income, with this water district? Is there any grant? Is there anything we can do? That was one of my ideas that I wanted to present to this group. Can we take and go to the wherever we're getting our loan from and get a 10-year, interest free, and then start paying interest? That would drop. That's a third of the cost is interest in this project. Yes.
We had an income survey done for this.
But wells are failing, so the health department,
We do have a better.
what is the better way, right? Do you know? Okay.
I can get.
Okay. Okay. If so that it goes down if like you have other people hook up, or if you have well, I guess so one of that kind of, I mean, we were talking about budget during the workshop when I was looking through the water district. So not all of them went down. There were 2 or 3 of them that went up. So I don't know, like, so I'm just saying, and I don't know if that was one of my questions that I had that we didn't get to, but I'm just saying that, I don't know. And I guess that I kind of wanted to ask Jason, are there times when a project has been presented to you that another firm did that you could look at and say, oh, we could do, like, just different brains looking at it and saying, there are ways that we might be able to save some money here and kind of redesign this a little bit? Or is that not really? What that is?
Since our legislature left. It's not the health department that told us to let. It's our ton. Pardon?
The number of
Number of hydrants in spaces in between.
Right. And there's hydrants like in this project. One of the major things that has been brought up is that there's hydrants from other municipalities directly across the street, or right. Right.
Wow.
And we're not receiving funding from there either towards the.
So if we had some others, they weren't units, but they were landowners that, hunting woods, things like that, that they didn't have a building. So it's going across their land. They weren't gonna get charged at all. But I happened across, 2 or 3 of them that I was just kind of following. We don't have a building, we're not gonna be charged. But they voluntarily said it'll increase the property of the land and we wouldn't mind, being valuated a little bit. Is that legal? And that's just another option to lower. The more units you get, the lower it's gonna be.
Lowest bid on the hydrant. $7,700.
One other thing, though, yeah, we could cut out the number of hydrants we purchase, which will save money. The problem being is the loan money has to be used first. So, and then we have the grant money on top of it. So you have to do something alone first altogether before you can get into the grant. So we're stuck with that loan amount.
Not if you, but if the loan is lower, you won't have to take that. It'll lower the interest. And I just think we should be listening to people that are paying the bills. And if they're saying no, we need to go back to the drawing board. I am not saying give up on this by any means. I'm saying let's go to work and find a cheaper option.
John, can I throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing?
Why not?
Clarendon Highway Superintendent approached me today at the superintendent's meeting. He has to extend his side north, at least 200 feet, because somebody wants to build in that little lot on the east side of Neckerman. So he wants to tie it all the way in over to, I think his line ends at Pinewood. Yeah. So some of the houses on Transit did not or weren't able to be serviced by the Clarendon line because they were too far away. And back when we made the verbal agreement with Clarendon, and they were supposed to let us know, and they didn't, and they went ahead with their project, and left us high and dry. No pun intended.
Well, we have a very angry resident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have water and the hydrant.
And we did, and I'm not gonna say names, but we did have an agreement with the town of Clarendon, Lookalike. And
We both had the same.
yes,
Right.
and that's my point. That if that project, I don't know if, there again, go back to an agreement with Clarendon. Well, with a project that goes around that 90-degree corner between Transit and Mansfield, and they can tie in, and then our residents hook in as out of district users.
Remember what they had said before when that was turned in that county water authority, at least said that they did not want them to have a district water.
Is that what it was? I don't remember that. I know they don't want to mix their water,
Yes, nobody wants.
but they do it all the time. When
Genesee County.
Clarendon has a leak, we open our valve at the Clarendon Berry line and feed them our water.
Is the same supervisor with Clarendon was back in that meeting?
Yes, sir.
And still so. Well, that would definitely be when you to investigate, especially if they're going to extend.
He says he's got to extend, I thought he said 200 feet. But, and he could go with just a 2-inch line to feed this one resident that wants to build. But if this will help our residents, and extend an 8-inch line around the corner and
That's.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I don't know that. Like I said, it came up today at the superintendent's meeting. I don't know how far they've got, or, they've gone with it.
That, if that was a possibility, even if it wasn't a year to, we're talking 38 years from now. So
What it would not serve the people on Angevine and McNamara. It would serve the people on transit.
we're still lower than cost overall.
I would think so, but maybe we need to go back and,
If we have a lot of push. One of the.
Yeah, yeah.
And
alongside service,
thinking of this rock layer.
not be over that far. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the test holes were like over there.
This is something that needs to explore. Explore, build the control. That process is made. Get that process started. It said in the last 2 months of board meetings, nothing about starting this to suggestion is don't abandon our district taxes. Options. Let's not go break some. That's just my pragmatic.
So
But at the same time. It's costing us money. Possibly.
Well, the motion is 90% down. Have to wait for the date to pass, do a couple of more things from the assessor, file it, and nothing's. I think it's a small investment, and that gives you time to do that surveying. In terms of having a referendum, it's practical. To agree that it will forth the way. If the referendum is triggered, if it's put on the ballot next year, not listed in the whole time, not just that one.
But I think that, just for clarification, I don't think that it was a permissive referendum that's being suggested. I think that it's just a town, like that we just hold a poll for our knowledge,
And
not, not for our decision-making purposes, not that it's a legal, referendum that we have to have people watching and, making sure. It's just like this is water district residents. This is I think that that's what was being proposed, not the ballot in November. I feel. Okay. So
There's a
we were
very
using
specific
it incorrectly then. And right.
It's an sheet and in a generation.
Okay.
Anonymous vote, not I know who voted for what, so I can count however many for how they feel about it or whatever,
Right.
but and people who are own property or commercial property or vacant land do not have right to vote. Because they are not voters, registered voters. In terms of how you want to do a formal poll,
Right.
that's not a legal issue. I don't have an opinion on it. It sounds very complicated to me, but I leave it to your judgment.
If we decide to say, okay, we're kind of continue going this way, can we do our due diligence to find out if we can get a cheaper bid? I mean, why would they though, if we're already moving forward?
Well, I don't think that it's realistic to believe that you're going to get a cheaper bid. Because it's already gone out to bid. And you have real numbers. This isn't theoretical numbers. And in terms of the engineering work that's been done, that work is done, except for the actual building out. I don't personally think that you're going to get a better number unless you something materially change something about the way the product is.
So, but if we did a redesign where we said, okay, we're gonna have a redesign because we're gonna have X number of homes that are going to now be out of town users with Clarendon, or we have somebody else looks at it and says, the hydrants are changing or this or that, or we're gonna, consolidate or whatever, then. Right.
But that may happen.
Right. Because the bids that we have, the person that they may not agree to continue at the rate that they.
Six months. No, it's pushed out. None of the. We're still. So that's my concern from a procedural. Not to say that you should do due diligence, whatever feels right for you. Situations, that is your role as a town board. There's going to be a process perspective. I don't think it makes sense to abandon making that motion to. As we have discussed in other meetings and fine, that is not a legal issue.
Well, I think that this time, I like the idea that you continue the conversation, they can proceed with that and stuff. As pointed out before, and David's brought a couple of times, we could pull the plug at any time. And if it takes 8 months to finally get an answer out of the comptroller's office and Water District 9, took about a year and a half to get an answer. I think we should proceed with the comptroller at this time. Meanwhile, we put together a petition. Because I think if we have meetings or send letters out, we're not getting responses. And like you pointed out, George, face to face. Let's take that petition. The petition will have those numbers on it. And then we can have them sign it, yes or no, and they sign it. We do that.
I just want to make one clarification on the petition. Petition is not for legal purposes. It is for your personal informational purposes. We are not dissolving and reforming the.
We just want to know in our heart.
So
We have something to go back to state,
That-
the majority, that's why we put it.
That's fine. I just want to make sure that no one is under the misimpression that this petition is, even though maybe we have the same form as the prior petition, it does not have the same legal status because it that petition was to create district that already exists. So that's just want to be very clear.
To create the district, all we're looking for is just from each and every landowner in the district.
And-
you guys do it. Happy to
So
not interfere at all.
I would like to make a formal motion or resolution that we as a town board perform a petition of landowners of Water District 10 using the Appendix E, the updated Appendix E of residents, because I know there were some people that we stopped at houses and they were renting and they didn't actually own the house and they said yes, or, but they are not the ones that would actually be paying the bill for that. That we use Appendix E and do a petition to determine whether we have a majority for this Water District 10 with the most up-to-date engineering numbers and estimates for informational purposes. And that if we do not have a majority, we then hold a vote as to whether the meeting will, or as to whether the Water District 10 will continue as is or not.
engage your dissertation.
I guess that I would, if you would like me to, I would be happy to write it out. That's absolutely, thank you. A petition. I guess, instead of residents, just all landowners, the people that are listed on Appendix E, because they're the ones that would be paying.
Nothing forcing us at this point. Go forward.
This is just a long process.
Right.
And it would be a shame to waste this time if we do find out that we have this work that we feel we need to go forward.
I think, I was just going to say, I think that the concern is that we have been told previously that, oh, this is just a step in the process. This is just a step in the process. You can change your mind. Things can change. But then it's like, oh, wait, we don't, like, this isn't what we want. And then it's, oh, it's too late. We're moving forward. So I'm not saying that, like, we haven't had that experience with you, but I just want to make sure that you understand that, like, this is coming from where the hesitation is coming from, is that experience has happened in the past where we've been told, it's just a step in the process. You can change, it can change. And then that hasn't been the case. And it's fun. You can change things.
Get that to look at other avenues.
And I mean, I think that it may end up being a situation or situation spending. I'm not discouraging board member from doing due diligence. Certainly not always happy to talk to you about it. Also, or happy to talk you through it. But I don't. I do have confidence in the consultants that they have done their due diligence in the bids are what they are. So
I would not talk.
I'm sure Scott would be happy to talk to you through the report. Make you feel comfortable with what it says, but I'm not the engineer, so I didn't come up with the numbers, but
right.
It is consistent with what I've seen in other projects.
We need a second for the resolution. Oh, sorry. We're gonna go out.
Certainly.
It's gonna come down.
So like Jason's, you have 2
For full units and 1 for a half unit.
sorry, you're.
So, but Sean, if a half unit who is a landowner who is going to be charged for a half unit, you're saying that they get a full vote. The ag land is not counted in the half units or as, so right. So you're saying that we count my proposal is that it's only the people who are financially paying for this water district. If a land, so there are agricultural lands that are 0 EDU and would therefore have no taxes or no, it's not a tax, but no, blanking on Thank you. No debt service, no debt service. So I guess that needs to be clarified. It's the, for each half and, each water unit. Because it's not, if we can't have people voting that are not going to be financially impacted, we're trying to see those who are financially impacted with this, whether they want it or not. If if it's going through their land, but they're not gonna be financially impacted, I personally don't think that they should be.
I think it has to.
Right.
And I think that a lot of, yes, it's great to go sort of board with the people. But I think I have also.
I was thinking it was just going based on the 40, it's 42 units total. I believe. Or just-
Total of one and units, one and half units. I didn't add up one units versus how many half units.
Just units.
Just ones and 0.5s and the.
We have 4997. $4,997.
Yes, 4997 Angevine Road is on there. So Sean, at the bottom, I guess I'm a little bit confused because at the bottom of that Appendix E, the updated one that you just sent out this afternoon, total numbers of parcels is 57. Total number of residences to be served is 30, and right, and then total chargeable units is 37. So it would be 30 of full ones and 14 half units. No, it's 37, but it's I'm just Sean, I'm going based off of there's ones and they used an Excel document and just added it up.
So that.
Okay. Then okay. Okay. Give me a second. I'll see if I can auto sum it. But I guess the number doesn't really matter so much as if they are a unit or a half unit, that they get a vote for a unit, they get a half vote for a half unit, and that's how we're going to, the ones that are included as parcels but won't be paying for it, won't be included in the petition. Yes. And a resolution or a vote will be made by the town board based on those results as to whether to continue with Water District 10 as is or to pause the process. And I'm not saying, Bridget, that that's stopping you from right now. I'm saying that that vote will then dictate what we do from there. Done. Based on the results.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The 4 units just about the 30, and then we check the number.
Third time goes a charm.
So the whole went to 30 and 5.
14,
13,
14, I think.
43.
That bottom number might be weird because there was a lot that got consolidated with the lots, so I'm wondering if that's a number
Okay.
that then disappeared between the previous version of the version.
Okay.
So that
Might be why it's off.
that maybe I can have someone who's smarter than me. Look at it in the morning.
Even if you just like, you don't have to have anybody look at it. If you want to just forward it to me in as an Excel or as something that I
don't
can,
have it.
you only have it as a PDF. Okay.
Yeah,
That's okay. I'll just go through and,
it's-
yeah. It's, I mean, it's not, yeah, maybe I'll have him send me the Excel just so that then I can take out the units that are 0 and easily have a list of who we need to go to. So I'll have to
you have to-
cross-reference. Got it. Okay. Well, I like to
nothing is
complicate,
sufficient.
and I don't have Adobe Reader or the Adobe Magic work that I can just pull it out anymore. So it'll be a little time consuming. That's okay. Yes, please. Yes, I can work with that.
So we do have a meeting scheduled for the end of this month. Put that in like for that. So we can move it over first.
Who's from the
Oh,
Well,
So for our next board meeting, we should have that contract finalized finally. And would be, we will have that on the agenda for next month for the voting it, yeah. Discussion. So I would like to hear a motion to extend the water agreement for the town of Elgin for 1 more month. Second.
Second. Aye.
Okay. Okay. Resolution. To appoint a special committee to prepare an update to the town of Prairie comprehensive plan. Whereas the town of Prairie planning board will resolve to undertake an update to the town of Prairie comprehensive plan and stop the issue to the town board the applicant consultant and regarding the same. And the board has the town board authorized the town supervisor to deliver the fellow associates for the development of the updated comprehensive plan. The town is authorized to obtain a structure to update to its
Can I hold you up a second, John? Well, as long as there's no change in the whereas.
So directs the planning board to make a recommendation by resolution in such comprehensive update to the town board after the town board. Direct such special committee to hold a public hearing to obtain public input on something amendment. And direct such committee by 10 days notice and force of the hearing. Therefore, resolved that the town board, Erie Town Board, authorized the creation of special committee be known as the comprehensive plan update committee to work with the fellow associates to prepare and update the comprehensive plan with the following individual being appointed. John Beatty, Cindy Van Lisha, Scott Burnson, Rick Stephanie, Bill, Larry Baylor, Russ Miller, Tony Dudley, and Ryan. Resolved comprehensive plan update committee is directed to the comprehensive plan update committee is to publicize and hold one or more public hearings as required to solicit public input on the project and further resolved comprehensive plan update committee is and by resolution the planning board to review and comment and to the result the planning board is recommended by resolution to the town board for the adoption of such. Therefore, further resolved, as a plan update committee shall be officially seated upon passage of this resolution. And for the resolve that after this resolution, for the Barbara Johnston, LaBella Associates, that's what it works for, and found.
Well, first thing is, we need to do this for Georgia McKenna Town Council representative and point of contact.
And we can put that whereas the town board resolved at our our previous meeting, and I can copy and paste it from the minutes and share that he would be the point of contact with LaBella.
Second. Said you had how many citizens that put their name in to be on this committee? Did you say 6 that time?
At that time,
Okay, so, and I knew of 4 that put their name in. One of them we need to add.
I never got any letter on it.
So Sean, I emailed you about this, so please don't act like this is the first time that you're hearing this. So
But you have pointed that out. I contacted CH. They went back in to see because if something was sent, even though it was not connecting to me through our website, I had him check back through those months, and he said there was nothing out there.
Sean,
Nothing had been submitted. Now, if I finish.
Go ahead.
If this person did so submit, if you take a look at that, or not, I'm sorry, who is this person, first of all? And I submitted it twice. You did it, okay, Gary. When you did it, Gary, when you submitted it, you have a submission, right? And it has a date and everything on it. Run off a copy and bring that to me.
Sean, I was informed by Joe because I called him after your email and I emailed you back and I included Joe in the email. He very clearly articulated to me that what happened when it was down, it did not, those emails, anyone who submitted anything to the town, it was lost forever. It is not something that goes somewhere else where he can check or that he could.
If you did submit it, send it. Okay, well, what other one? Said at the- One from, I also. If you had something,
I and I have when through the website, it doesn't, you don't get a copy. So the person who submits through the website, it's not an email though, because when you do a contact us through our website, it goes to, it's supposed to go to your email or to whatever. There was a glitch, not your fault. There was a glitch. I have documentation that Gary, I have text messages from Gary stating that he submitted prior to the deadline, that he submitted an application, both two, one for the planning board and one for this committee, this comprehensive plan committee. So I feel strongly that he should be added, as everyone who who submitted a letter of intent was added on here, that we didn't say no to anyone who, right. So I can vouch, I can pull up, pretty sure I've got it on my phone that I can pull up the text messages. Gary.
So kind as better take this book. So I can put all the others. I have no problem. I'll put your name up here.
You, well, I'm sorry, hold on. You said that you submitted another one tonight to,
If you're requesting a response, you need a letter saying that you are interested. Okay. Official request. Like I said, I do need an official letter requested, okay? That's all I'm asking. What you just sent out and said is you want a response. And if I don't have that official letter, okay, so that's just for my records. They all go together in one. You so plan to do that. I have no problem adding a name. Okay, now, you sent a letter requesting that, you sent another official one that it over the planning board, so they can get that.
I also have some questions on the list that is here before us because we haven't had the opportunity to actually discuss this. The Kelly Dudley was actually who is going to be the ZBA representative. Larry Gaylord is the alternate. Also, I guess that I'm wondering how Stephanie is on the list as a member. I didn't get any documentation or anything when I had requested that. I didn't know, if she's, I guess I'm just wondering how, as a new employee and not a resident of Barry, I don't disagree with that. I'm just curious how, and I didn't see any letter of intent or, how she got on this list and Maureen's not on the list or Dale or, I just am wondering how this happened. Cause it wasn't with board discussion. That like none of this was with board discussion. But Stephanie, she requested to be a member because I had to foil to get the information of who submitted letters of intent for a comprehensive plan to our town board. I had requested this information. I had to actually foil the town to receive this information. And there was, in what I received back, I don't have any documentation of Stephanie submitting a letter of intent or of any communication with her, any documentation, or, to any of the other town board members or other appointed officials. I'm just wondering how this came to be. Absolutely. And I'm completely fine with that. I think that's wonderful. My question is though, how is she part of the comprehensive plan committee? So that was you, Sean, was that before or after we voted to have Dr. McKenna be the lead person on the comprehensive plan? And is this something that could be shared? Like, I guess that where my frustration is that there is a lack of sharing of information, of communicating. The time that we spent talking about the Water District 10 and ideas, if that had been done before, there's so many different opportunities. Different people having different ideas and sharing them is a wonderful thing. It's not a bad thing. And that this is something that having people on here is good, but we as a board should discuss and should be able to say, hey, you know what? We're missing representation here. We look at this comprehensive plan committee and I'm concerned that we're not covering what we should be covering, or this looks wonderful. Is there a good representation of local businesses? Is there a representation of different ages? Is there a representation of different social and economic standards? And that's like, there's different ideas of like, are we a diverse group or is this just, I don't know. I just,
One of the things that I thought about was that each area of Barry was representative. With Gary on here, we have good representation, East Barry, West Barry, Barry Center, South Barry. So we're looking pretty good there. Business, we don't have a lot. We're heavy on farm. We really should have more just general resident. We're real heavy on seniors. I would dare to say probably this comprehensive plan in 25 years gonna come, there'll be a lot of people not here. We're that's, yeah. Social economic, I think where we need to do is, we need to leave this open that we can bring in non-farm residents, younger residents with families, get their voice. I like what she said, Barb said about having open meetings and giving time for people to talk. So I think that will be a big help, but it would be nice to have maybe some people on this group right off the bat. And some volunteers that fit that category. Young, non-farm residents.
Make a suggestion. What if we back tonight on the committee? And we can do some work there. These people, you know, that other expense.
Wanting to move forward.
To move forward and hold it up. Venting, you can adding additional board. And then you have a little bit of time to try and address those steps. Stuff like everything. Pretty much everybody who applied.
Got it.
is on the
Right.
committee.
Right. And I understand that and I appreciate that, but like even, you know, I have a couple of people that I think of that I did reach out to once before and said, hey, like younger, a guy I actually, well, I'm not really younger, but a guy that I graduated with who lives in town and who lives in town and has a young family who I think that either of them would be great on this committee. And I did text them, but I didn't get they didn't submit anything. And they could be because they can't. Right. Right. And I understand that, but you know, I guess that I just wanted to be able to have this discussion and talk about what is it that we as a town board are looking for on this committee rather than this is what an individual wants.
Trust.
Right.
And I'm saying,
Maybe. And so we have to leave it over.
yes, I get that. That's
Nothing in the resolution prevents you from adding additional. I just want to make sure that was the. Who could be on the committee for the rest. Just like. Because this is a special committee, this isn't something that's. She's a planner, so. And part of the discussion. Part of.
I guess I would like to also though add or make an amendment to this resolution that whereas the town board passed at our August 9th, 2023 meeting resolution number 33, stating that according to the agreement submitted by Labella, it states the following: client's responsibilities. Client shall designate a representative authorized to act on its behalf with respect to the project. All notices required under the agreement shall be given to that representative. I move that Dr. George McKenna is the designated representative and serve as the chair of the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. The motion was seconded and the resolution was passed unanimously. That we add that in so that he is the point of contact for Barbara and the Comprehensive Plan Committee. And that's in our August 9th minutes. I just read it.
planning board members.
Yeah. Yes, that sounds great. See the process. That's, yep. I do.
I already did. We already-
You wrote chair.
I
No,
already edited it.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 'Cause Barbara wrote the resolution. I revised it and it just responded and I was like.
I-
Do you hear the solution? Sorry about. That. I mean, I have no objection to additional meetings. Was good, I guess, is that it's- Which-
if as long as he's fine with it, I'm fine with it.
Possibility of
Of-
additional numbers. Possibility of additional numbers. Oh, you don't need to, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Do we have to make a resolution though to add people to the,
Yeah. When you add
So-
it,
just they should send a letter of intent and we should add them as a resolution?
So, it will be, unless we're appointing people to committees against their will.
Okay, so we have a motion, do I hear a second?
Period.
I did.
Period.
Well,
Oh, wait, no.
Sean read it.
Yeah.
Sean read it. I amended. I made an amendment.
Well, you guys do have to amend, you have to make a motion to amend, okay.
Everyone agreed.
Everybody got a piece of that.
Oh, what did you make?
We'll take that as. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Everybody that's on that list is so very so.
So if I can get
If you
that,
send me that letter, done.
yes.
Okay. Next, motion. Highway, Gail.
Yes, sir.
We have your motion.
I do. You want me to read the whole thing?
Yes. I gotta read, you gotta read it.
Today's date, whereas the town board of the town of Berry allows superintendent of highways Dale Brooks to approve the bids as per the town of Berry procurement policy for the purchase of a motor grader with snow wing and front lift assembly capabilities. Whereas the lead time for ordering or from ordering to delivery was approximately 1 year. And whereas the bids will be obtained with the New York State OGS contract applied. And whereas funding for the purchase will be provided through New York State CHIPS and extreme winter recovery monies from 2023 and 2024 budgets. Now therefore, the Berry Town Board approves Highway Superintendent Brooks to review all bids and award the purchase that meets all specifications. We talked about that, I think it was the last meeting, workshop.
Last workshop.
So a portion from the 23 budget, CHIPS and extreme winter recovery will be used towards that purchase, and the 24 budget will be used to make that purchase up to the $360,000. Really, it's, I mean, we buy it and they reimburse us. You do, when you buy equipment on this program, you do need to get pre-approved, which I have. from the chip program.
Margaret made a motion second.
I'll second. You can second it.
Edward made second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I did not do a monthly report. Of this.
Was gonna ask you about that.
You notice he said that after he got his grade?
Any news on the bridge? Yeah, the culvert, yeah. Oh, I don't think so. That. I don't think so. Do they give you any reasoning, like, so that next year you can? Yeah, my bad. Culvert, right, terms of.
No, they don't give a reason. They tell you your score is high enough. So in other words,
They run it through their computer system and.
well, yeah, but our culvert compared to however many other ones throughout the state, ours is down. Wow.
Theirs
It's
is
an in-
worse than ours.
Right, right. It's not in dire need. I mean, it's still safe. It's not
Right.
tagged or weight or anything. So
You gotta wait till it gets worse.
unfortunately, that's what happened. So, the town of Albion on Pitch Road, they had to close it. So, bang, got the funding. And what we're doing now is getting ready for winter. That mean I gotta do it twice next month?
Okay, next, I need a motion, to set date for the public hearing. Town.
But-
Deadline for that is the Thursday after the election. When it is the seven, therefore we have until the ninth. to, vote. Yeah, to hold the public hearing, sorry.
But before we do that, can we move to hold a special workshop
Got
to?
that down next.
Okay.
Again. Yes. Right now, I put up. We have 2 weeks, 4 weeks. Anyway, what I'm looking at is having a public hearing prior to our. So that we'll do it during our workshop, which is be at 6 o'clock. Okay. So there a motion, so we can advertise that.
I make a motion for the.
I'll second it.
November the 8th at 6 p.m.
Yep.
Here at the town hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, now,
Thank you for the workshop.
that's what we're gonna do right now. We have to, obviously, take 2 hours to sit and finalize out this plan. So, next 2 weeks, folks. Let's take a look at our calendars.
Page with one gives vote.
We can't do it from Monday. Which date? The 16th is So we didn't schedule. He is not here.
I can't do
Yeah,
this.
Thursday.
Very can't do this.
He's one.
Very can't do this 16. How
No,
about the 23rd?
He can not wide open.
For me.
yes,
Lord?
Yeah.
23rd then?
Okay, so October 23rd, 6 p.m.
So.
Like earlier, if we could.
I can't do it.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Monday, the 23rd, October 23rd at 6 p.m. About the workshop. Focus of the budget. Before budget. That gives us lots of time to.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, because it has to be
Yeah.
publicized and everything.
It's a
Okay.
I move that we have a town board workshop to discuss the budget on October 23rd at 6 p.m.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Bill? Okay.
Sean, I just have one. Could you send out, I know in the past you have talked about how you have 3 to 5 projects that you like to include in the budget for the following year. Can you send out what your thoughts are for those and what your estimates, kind of where you got your estimates for that before that workshop? Oh, okay. Okay.
So this place needs to take check. This is the original paint place built in 1999. Also,
Holding up pretty good.
So we have water stains in the ceiling because of roof damage and so on. I was love to put in for this place to get painted, but I haven't even put that in the check.
Okay.
In the past.
Okay.
Okay, so I have no plans to fix it.
Okay.
Okay. My finance. Total receipt for the month for $32,358. For the town fund, general fund, with the date expenses, $418,900 compared to the revised annual budget of $596,552. Therefore, we have used 70% of our budget. Highway department. The expenses year to date, $1,063,148. Compared to the budget, $1,338,292. We're 79% of the budget of this. You already gave your report for the loop. accessory for celebrity bills, so I've got them to put. Hold the first one. And put that in the mailboxes. Looks like, I know, my drive in town, we got a lot of issue. On the, September, oh, yeah. That's for one in September. Pertaining to. Joint public.
Regular permit, use of that zoning and planning.
I think most of what Kirk said was repeated, but just because this is something I watched the zoning board meeting from the last time, and if you're not on a microphone, it is you either can't hear or it's very, very hard to hear. So just if anybody else is going to be speaking, if you could please just come up and use the microphone so that those who are watching are able to hear, it's really helpful.
Okay. Anything else? Sure. Zoning board. Anything from that?
So as I said, I did not actually attend in person, but I did watch the video. I know Bridget was there, but it was Verizon was also sharing with the zoning board, and they're going to be in that joint public hearing. And also they did have a representative that was going to be on, but then I believe has since withdrawn their name. So we are still in need of a zoning board alternate. the the emails, because that portion was not recorded, but I read the minutes and it was in the minutes, but what was sent to me when I foiled the documents said that that was the representative that did withdraw. So that it wasn't recorded. It was only 24 minutes and the meeting was 40 minutes was recorded. Um um
Six.
um I think part of that was my confusion because they have the same last name. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Utilities, your, that's help it, go. Maybe. Okay. So Tool.
Oh, that was by design. No, it's not. I'm kidding. The ambulance contract has been under negotiation for the last couple of months. For the last November meeting. And otherwise, I think we've talked about everything. We don't want to talk about one sister. Please. Otherwise, it's been fairly.
Okay, see there that I had the next time board workshop is November 8th at 6 p.m. We have now stated that we'll have the public hearing at that time on the budget. We hopefully have to date. That will be followed by our board meeting at 7 p.m. Okay. Anything else?
Can I just, so if we don't have many people questioning or having to go through the budget, we could still have that workshop, like we could still talk about things after
Yeah.
that public hearing. Okay.
Yeah.
You just said there's no, and I understand if people are here and the public hearing goes long, no problem. We don't need to do the workshop, but if we have the time, I just want to make sure that we still plan to have the workshop if the public hearing ends with time to have one.
Okay.
Sure.
Nope.
Public hearing, for the budget. We have to make a announcement of that in the paper. Yes. Are we gonna have in the announcement that they can do the budget gonna be available here?
This, this is taken off of this agenda, so I don't think, but on the agenda that you emailed out, you had it. I just want to make sure that that was just left on the email, the agenda that you emailed out to us yesterday, I think it was, you had executive session on there,
Yeah.
but we don't need to. Okay, perfect. That's fine. That's what I was going off of. Right. Yep, that's fine. Okay. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Aye.
The budget is. Oh no, that's 2023. No,
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be on there. I don't know.
it just might not be on the homepage yet.
Okay.
First one. Yes. I haven't. Okay. Right here, yeah. Okay, good, good.
I just didn't like, Dave, thank you. Night.
talked to an engineer in Chicago today, brought up, who was asking me about something in the hub, so I just want you to know your readership is on interstate. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I was reading the hub, I was like, oh, didn't realize. It's on this road. It's like very close to me. But it's 80 to 2 acres. Give you the address.